Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We really enjoy doing these calls. So I'll kind of kick us off with some stats about the Ironfish testnet. And actually, all the stats that I'm about to share, or almost all the stats, are publicly available. So you can check out our stats dashboard anytime. The Block Explorer also has several charts that I'll reference as well. So these are like pretty much all publicly available. So the one stat that we pay attention to really closely is how many nodes we have online concurrently, meaning how many nodes are there at the same time. And the reason why this stat is important is because as far as peer-to-peer systems go, the more nodes there are, the more difficult it is to have a healthy network. And so again, for phase 2 in particular, we want to really make sure that everything is stable. And so we really look and pay attention to that number in particular. So for us, currently, our nodes currently are at 9.3K, 9,300. For reference, Bitcoin roughly has between 10 to 15,000 nodes. So the fact that we have 9,000 nodes, I think is really, really good. If you look at Etherscan, they have their own network measuring system as well. And I believe for Ethereum, it's roughly 3,000 nodes. So I'm not sure exactly how accurate Etherscan is displaying that information because it's actually kind of challenging to figure out how many nodes there are if you don't collect telemetry like we do. But the fact that we have over 9,000 is a really healthy sign for Ironfish. The other stat that I want to share is that we surpassed 200,000 daily transactions for several days now. This for comparison purposes, Bitcoin does roughly 250,000 transactions a day, and Ethereum does roughly 1 million a day. So the fact that we're doing 200,000 daily transactions is, again, super, super cool. Again, it's helping us stress test the network. And so the fact that we have such a high volume of transactions that are not cheap, they're fairly large, they have zero-knowledge proofs, like all these are great signs. The other stats that we kind of monitor are how many graffitis or how many user accounts there are on our leaderboard with non-zero points, meaning that they have done at least something to participate with the testnet to get them points. And we have a little over 16,000 people. So as far as I am aware, I think we might be the biggest layer 1 testnet, to my knowledge at least, in terms of participation with that number. The other number that I want to share is since we launched phase 2, we have had over 4 million transactions in total. And to give you a perspective, so ZCash released their update a couple months ago, I believe, where they counted how many Shula transactions they've had in aggregate since the launch of ZCash, and that number was 700,000, or roughly 700,000. So the fact that we have over 4 million puts us at, like we're proving out with Ironfish that you can do a high volume of zero-knowledge proof transactions, and at this moment in time, we're actually processing more zero-knowledge proof transactions than any other chain. So yes, obviously it's incentivized. Obviously there's a reason for this volume. But the fact that Ironfish can handle it is really, really cool. The other thing that I want to mention, which is kind of the elephant in the room, which is the market conditions. So crypto right now is in the red. Non-crypto markets, public markets are in the red. I know we have a lot of international people. So again, not... oh, sorry. Someone said, please unfreeze monthly Pulse chat. Sorry, can we unfreeze that channel? No. Sorry,
You're
interrupt.
already good there.
Okay, great. Yeah, so the market conditions are definitely elephant in the room. So again, like we have a bunch of people globally in the US in particular. It's not pretty. Non-crypto markets are quite in the red as well. Crypto markets, it feels like every week there is another large fund or project that is going insolvent, which is not great for the community. So I do want to kind of address that. For Ironfish in particular, we are fine. We are still hiring. We have enough money in the bank. We are hiring more aggressively than ever. We are super determined to get to mainnet launch. Nothing there has changed. So we're pretty impervious to market conditions. Like we are fine. And I do want to remind people, and I've kind of mentioned this to the team as well multiple times, there are so many companies and projects in the past that have launched in bear markets that are great today. So OpenSea, for instance, they launched December 2017 after crypto just capitulated. Solana, Near, Uniswap, even there are so many. Compound is actually another great example. There are so many great projects that have launched in bear markets. And so, again, for Ironfish in particular, we're not worried. This is our time to build. This is definitely our time to hire. And I think Lawrence is going to be talking more about the positions that we're hiring for. So the other thing is how many PRs we've merged. So I'm not going to go into the granular details about everything that has kind of gone in the last few weeks, but you can certainly check that out on the repository, or you can check out the release notes. I have noticed that we do have quite a good number of open source contributions. However, I'm not seeing those submissions on the form to get points for those open source contributions. So please don't forget to fill out the form if you want the points for pull requests, which I highly recommend you do because we're highly incentivizing pull requests more so than anything else. And the other thing, and Lawrence is going to go over this as well, is that we are updating our external roadmap soon to reflect more accurately about what the team is working on. Okay, so those are all the stats so far. And now I'm going to hand it over to Rohan, who's going to kick us off about talking about some of the projects that are being currently worked on right now. Take it away, Rohan.
Great. Thanks, Elena. Yeah, so as Elena mentioned, I'm going to do a quick overview of the project, which we're starting basically next week. So if you've looked throughout Discord, you've seen there have been a couple issues where people have quite a bit of time to compute the balances on accounts or to send transactions. One of the main reasons this is occurring is our current code base decrypts a lot of information on the fly. So it's kind of difficult to iterate linearly and compute balance that way. If you're running multiple accounts, let's say one has like many transactions and one has like a very small amount, they kind of interfere and it becomes kind of very slow and difficult to manage. So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be kind of re-architecting our wallet, caching some data. So a lot of these workflows become much quicker. And we're also going to be working on introducing encryption into the wallet. So it'll be possible to take some of your data and encrypt it before you write it to disk. So stay tuned. This should be coming out in the next couple of weeks. And next, I'll hand it over to Derek, who will talk about some of the gossip work.
Thank you, Rohan. So I've been working on improving our gossip model along with Daniel. I'm focusing on the propagation of new blocks, and Daniel's focusing on the propagation of new transactions. So the goal of this is to reduce the amount of forking that happens, because it'll get new blocks to all different miners quicker. And also with transactions, to make sure that transactions get on blocks as soon as possible. So another goal is to reduce general bandwidth usage of the network. And the way we're looking at doing that is avoiding sending duplicate data where possible in general. So on the block side of things, I've been reading through both the Bitcoin and Ethereum methods of block propagation, and I think we're probably going to do some sort of hybrid system for that. So the basic gist of it is that a block will go out as just the header, the bare minimum information needed to verify like the proof of work is actually legitimate, like the block has actually been mined legitimately, and then the transactions won't be included directly on the block, but the hashes will be included. So that way, if a node has the transactions in their mempool already, they can create the block using those transactions and avoid the need to move them across the network. And on the transaction side, the Ethereum model, and something that we'll probably follow as well, is to send out full transactions to just a subset of the network, and then send out transaction hashes to the rest of the network. And then nodes can say if they see a transaction hash but they haven't received the full transaction from anybody, then they can request it directly. And so that avoids needing to spend a bunch of bandwidth on sending full transactions that might be duplicated, and switching to a model where the nodes can just ask for data that they're missing. So we've been working on a lot of research. We're getting close to wrapping up the research phase, probably in the next week or so. Internally, we'll have some discussions with the team, kind of pick apart different pieces of the spec, make sure things are ready to be implemented, and then we're going to start breaking it down into tasks and implementing them. So our goal for the rollout is to deploy it in such a way that you don't have to manually update your node, or you won't have to like hard update your node. So the idea should be it'll be like a feature that gets added, and then we'll let a few versions go by, and then once enough people have upgraded to the newer versions, we can remove the old gossip syncing, and hopefully during that process we'll also be able to verify that it's actually improving the network and making things better. So cool, next I'll hand it off to Alex. He's going to talk a little bit about some improvements he's been doing around syncing.
Hey everybody, Karen here. So I'm working on syncing snapshots. We know that syncing is going quite slow these days. There's a lot of data flying around, so there's a lot of data on the blocks. So syncing is going quite slow, so the solution for that for right now, while we work on everything else, is to implement snapshotting so that one can download a snapshot which has a great number of blocks inside of it, rather than requesting the blocks piecemeal from one or a couple peers at a time. That is almost fully implemented. We just have some pretty core level decisions around like how it should work as a feature of the product. But everything is pretty much implemented. We just want to make sure that it's going to be as easy and as magical as possible for you all. And so that's that. So expect that in the next week or two. I'm going to hand it off to Daniel now, who's going to be talking about the mining pool.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. So yeah, if anyone who's been mining in the pool or in the mining pool Discord channel knows there's been some issues over the past month. We started out a month, the pool was just not mining blocks very fast, and some blocks were getting into forks. And then more recently, we've been having some issues around transaction payouts not getting picked up in the chain. And the solution for the first problem was we just needed to increase our AWS spend, basically, because we were having some bandwidth issues there. And for the transactions, we just released a change to the pool yesterday, I think, to increase the timeout time for the pool's payout transactions so that they have more time to get picked up in a mine block. And so far that seems to be working, but I just wanted to let everyone know that we are actively monitoring the pool issues, and we want to make sure that all the payouts are fair, so we definitely are working on that. And I'll hand it off to Lawrence to talk about recruiting.
Hey everyone. As Elena mentioned earlier, we are actually, before I talk about recruiting, I'm just going to give a brief update on the external roadmap. So I think a number of you have seen it. It's on our website. We haven't updated it for a little while. We are currently working on getting it updated to reflect all the things we're working on. And more importantly, the end of the external roadmap, once it's updated, will be mainnet launch ready. So keep an eye out for that. We have it should be coming within the week, and we can outline all the things we want to do before we're mainnet launch ready. I say mainnet launch ready because I don't want people to take that as this is the day we're going to launch. There are some other things outside of just engineering projects that we're looking at in terms of how and when we want to launch, so that will be coming in a number of months. Cool. So in terms of hiring, in order to do any of this, we have a great team as it is, but we are actively hiring for a number of positions. If you go to the Ironfish website, there's a careers page and there's an email on that page. And if you send an email to that email, I get it directly. We're hiring for engineers for front end, back end, and you know, variety of seniorities as well. So if you enjoy working on the open source version of Ironfish and you are good with TypeScript and system architecture, we would love to have your application. That is recruiting update. Next is Jason.
Hey, thank you. So the big thing that I want to talk about right now is that we're obviously getting a lot of open source contributions from the community, which makes sense because one obviously key thing we did in phase 2 is split it so people who are contributing open source work get their own token grant that we're going to divide between them. So that's its own dedicated pool to open source contributors. And we're clearly getting some really, really high quality, great contributions from the community that are helping us get to mainnet sooner. But that also has led to, I think, some obvious need for clear guidance around what people can contribute to, what are the best ways for them to contribute. So we recently created a brand new contributor agreement that we've linked from our primary README. And that kind of outlines what you should contribute to. And if you're going to contribute to something specifically not in this list, then you should open what we're calling a fish improvement proposal. This is very similar to the Bitcoin improvement proposals or ZCash improvement proposals. And what we're not saying is like you can't work on these things. Obviously, we're open source. You can fork it if you need. But we recommend that if you are going to work on one of the things listed in this agreement, then you should open a FIP because someone on the core team might already be working there. I've already seen a couple PRs opened up in parts of the code bases that are currently being refactored by core engineers. And it really is a shame when we have to close those PRs because the person has put in that work and we don't like to do that. But obviously, if someone's working on the core team of a greater vision than just the changes that are made there, then obviously we're going to close it because it doesn't really take into consideration what we're actually trying to accomplish in that part of the code base. So please continue submitting open source requests. Please submit requests for points when those PRs get merged. And also please review this and submit FIPs when you want to work on something that is outlined in our list of things that we want you to open a FIP for. And I think we're just obviously going to keep adjusting that process. Obviously, we have like some amazing contributors here, and I just looked at the patch notes for some of the recent versions, and almost half of it was external contributors, which is just like incredible. Love to see it. So that's all that I have. And I am going to, I guess, hand it off to Alex to finish up this update. But we'll stick around and chat a bit more to answer questions.
All right. Thank you, Jason. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, everybody. You know, like we're really glad to have everybody around and sticking with us while, you know, we figure things out. As Elena said earlier, we're doing pretty well with everything. And we're working on a lot of really exciting things that we hope to get to you guys very soon. So don't forget to update your nodes. You know, if you don't, you know, Derek's gonna watch you and come after you. So you want to make sure that doesn't happen. We hope everybody has a great weekend. And if you happen to be at Coachella next year, you know, look for us. We might be there. So yeah, talk to you guys later. We hope to see you guys again soon.
All right, and I think with that we can end. I can also do actually I think Adi kind of was summarizing everything that we've said currently. So check out the monthly pulse channel if you missed some of the updates. But yes, we're going to be sticking around here for a few minutes if you have any more questions. Cool. And with that, I think we are good to go. Oh, when is the new update planned? I think Aditya will follow up with that, but we do them monthly, so roughly next month. But again, we're we're available. We answer questions when we see them. So feel free to ask anytime. All right. Have a good Friday, everyone. Hope you enjoy the June weather wherever you guys are. Bye.